Actually, I read a book called Dark Light by a Norwegian author called Mette Nuth, and she wrote about a book like it happens around 70 something in Norway when they had the plague. So it's a story of a young girl about the age of 12 getting the plague and being removed from society to a plague hospital, and like basically having to learn all the values in life within those 2 years while her fingers are dropping off and there's only death around her and she's trying to find out. It's sad, but it's very hopeful. There's some light at the end of the tunnel. So she's trying to kind of like find her God, something to believe in within, or within that realm of just death and dying and people losing their faith in life in general. So I find that really inspiring, and I wrote a song called Dark Light. And then at the end of the day, we have a couple of different ideas, but we thought that as this new album was the first properly released album in the States, Southern America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Japan. We thought that it's cool because the band's name is such a short and simple thing, him. So we thought that him, Dark Light, is something that you can't forget. It's very easy to remember, and it describes sort of like the contradictory nature of what we're trying to do with the music as well. Trying to incorporate the sweetness and melody of U2 mixed with then the bit more brutal side of maybe even Black Sabbath or so. It did back in the day. We started off as His Infernal Majesty. We wanted like a really spooky name in the vein of Black Sabbath, and we played this like 70s rip-off type of thing with wearing bell bottoms and all that. And then we shortened it up, and we had a bit of a name at the club circuit in Finland, in Helsinki. So we thought that it's more useful to use the same name when we started working on the real proper band. And actually, I just met Ollie a few months ago, and he said that His Infernal Majesty is an absolutely fantastic title for a band. So now I'm starting to believe in it again. Well, we recorded one album in the past in the studio called Rockfield in Monmouth, Wales, and the thing we learned about that process was just the fact that it's very good for a band to be away from home when recording an album, because that gives us 24 hours a day time to really concentrate when living in the residential studio. So you don't have anything else to do besides maybe playing chess and watching TV. So we wanted to do the same again now, and because we wanted to work with Tim Palmer as a producer. He's an Englishman, but he's been living for the past 10 years in Los Angeles, and he scouted this beautiful old mansion that used to be actually a nunnery, and on the top of a hill in Silver Lake, just like half an hour drive away from the sea, Sunset Strip. And we thought that's a beautiful idea also because Warner Music's their headquarters is in Burbank, California. And then we recorded the album there for within 2 months, and then flew over to Electric Lady to mix it in New York, because Sire's headquarters are in New York. So it was kind of like us introducing ourselves and our method of working to the record company people, and on the other hand also living one dream. When we started out being like five finished bastards, hoping that we'd get somewhere one day. That of course it's one of those dreams to be able to be in a rock band and record in the States, and preferably LA. So that's what happened. It was good times. Well, kind of. I think more actually. It's hard to say, but most of us are schoolmates, so we've been knowing each other from maybe when we were like 9 or 10 years old. I played music around 20 years, so we've been playing in different bands together before. So it wasn't kind of. It's hard to say when it all started. I'd say in the womb. We never set any goals. I think that every day is a goal in itself, just to wake up in the morning and try to get something done. So in that sense, yeah, it's cool. I never had the possibility of traveling before, and it's nice to go to different places, meeting different people, making friends all around the world, and going to cool restaurants and bars, and it's good fun. Well, keeps on changing. At times we're very dramatic and inanimate, and at times we're really just pure Iggy Pop and the Stooges kind of, rock your socks off kind of, sweat, blood and tears kind of thing. So it keeps on changing. We're pretty young as a band anyway. We play maybe 400 gigs together But it's still, it's nice that it still develops and things keep on changing. We just had a new lighting technician, so the visuals are really different from what we've done before. But we'll see. We'll see. It's all depending on the audience as well. If they're shake their buttocks and sing their arses off, of course, then that reflects on performance as well. We, for some reason, have been very well known of gaining the attention of very kind of goth influenced young people, especially girls. So I'd say that there's probably plenty of people dressed in black and wearing too much black eyeliner than they should be. Well, it keeps on changing. It's very weird that when we play, let's say, Warsaw, Poland, that when we play there, we play in front of 4,000 12-year-old girls. And then in like certain areas in the world, like let's say when we play Nottingham, there's like people maybe from 16 to 40 and more like rockers, and then skate kids and a couple of goths every year, here and there. But it's very different. That's kind of also one of the things that keeps us changing as a live band and also makes it very interesting. Because somewhere we're considered being like pop idols, somewhere we're underground band, and somewhere we're something in between. So. Well, I've always been a big fan of his chosen music for his films. I love Angelo Badalamenti's soundtrack work. And then he was the reason why we picked Wicked Game into our repertoire. When we started out, we have this really rocking version of Chris Isaac's Wicked Game, and I heard it for the first time in Wild at Heart by David Lynch. And now I just heard that David Lynch's grandfather is Finnish. So that might explain a bit of the weirdness, because Finns, when they are artistically involved with something, it always tends to be a bit left of the center. It's never the pure mainstream, poppy thing. There seems to be always something weird happening. So that's one of the reasons why. I love Tim Burton as well. A lot of different, not necessarily directors so much, but certain films from certain periods, and Hitchcock, of course. That's the way we were brought up. We were brought up by listening to sweet, sad, melancholic Finnish music. On the other hand, listening to Kiss and Rolling Stones and all that stuff. So we didn't kind of like artistically want to restrict ourselves when we started the band, but rather try to, have all of our influences come together and hopefully creating some kind of a unique cocktail. So, and visuals have always been really important to rock and roll music. I'm a big fan of Led Zeppelin and Sabbath, and Zeppelin had the 4 symbols on the 4th album, and Sabbath had really strong the logo, and then the kind of like inverted cross version of the logo and stuff like that. And I thought that it would be beautiful because, well, let's say as simple symbol as a Christian cross is traveled pretty well. Such a simple thing, and there's very many of us. So it's cool to be able to have a mixture. It's like a yin and yang version of a yin and yang by a guy who's been brought up by watching and reading, populistic stuff that was created from 60s on. All the horror movies and everything like that. That's the way I see life. It's about the balance. I think it's about educating yourself. I think we have an educational purpose as a band, for people to watch good movies and read good books and try to educate themselves onto a level that they can have a decent conversation. For example, with us. So we are really happy that most of the people that have been following us around seem to be pretty intellectual in a positive way. So of course, the way you look is very important as well, because through that you represent your thoughts and your place in life and how you feel and what forces you're fighting against. Well, it's just a nice little ditty. It was just we recorded all of the 10 songs. We didn't have any ideas what's going to be a single and whatnot. And then at the end of the studio session, we just thought that It's very well represents what we have been and what we are now. You know, it's got the trademark hymn things and hopefully something new in production as well. And kind of like pseudo-poetic lyricism involved there too. So it's always interesting to talk with people who have been ripping the wings out of a butterfly, and who've been blowing up frogs and shooting pigeon. That's what kids do every now and then. Well, now we had the great opportunity for Wings of Butterfly's first single. We did the first video for that particular track, and we're now planning on to do Killing Loneliness, which is second, but I'm not sure when it's going to happen and where. But the first one was directed by a fellow called Mayet Davis, an Irishman, who's been working, for example, with U2. He's done all the classic like With or Without You, the black and white one. I think Where the Streets Have No Name, stuff like that. And now, he just finished shooting his first, or directing his first feature-length film, stuff like that. And he was just a crazy artistic fella, looking a bit like Albert Einstein, with crazy grey hair and very spooky ideas. And that's the reason why we wanted to use it. We shot it in an old train station called Union Station in downtown Los Angeles, and a peculiar place because it's been also used for one of my favorite films of all time, which is Blade Runner. So it was kind of cool being there. It was a night shoot, so it was good for me too, because I hate waking up 5 o'clock in the morning. So instead of that, we got to stay up until 5 o'clock in the morning. So that was good fun. Drinking beer and enjoying the moment. But it's very hard to explain. It's kind of psychedelic. We're performing through these old weird lenses, and there's like technology that doesn't really exist, and you got to see it for yourself. But it's visually, it's pretty dark, but it's pretty cinematic at the same time. And cinematic was the key word for the whole album anyway. Well, originally I was supposed to be the bass player for this band, so it can be still a bit intimidating, or at least as a thought of walking there and not having an instrument in your hands and pretending that you're like the reborn Jim Morrison or whatever. But no, I don't think the only charismatic person I've ever met in my life, actually I didn't meet her, but I saw her, was Skin from Skunk Nancy. We were playing this festival somewhere in Europe, and had this big backstage area, all the artists were there hanging out, and then she came out, she was there like 30 feet that way, like just came out, started opening up her voice, and all of a sudden everybody's heads turned. All big bands of people heads just turned that way, even they couldn't hear anything what she was doing. She was just so, magnetic with her appearance. So that's charisma. But,